Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Driven Wild. Today we are talking about failure to complete trips at your customer location. I got scammed by UberEats. So recently I got a notification from UberEats claiming that I didn't complete a delivery to a customer. And while this sounds like a very common issue with normal customers who claim that their order never arrived and they just want to get a refund and blah blah blah. This was honestly more than that, and I don't know if it actually applies to the specific order that I'm referring to, but based on what I'm seeing and on the research I did, not only does it feels like a trap that Uber lays to Uber Eats drivers so that way they could potentially get them deactivated. So with that said, I want to go over the notification that Uber sent me, what it said, how I believe that Uber trapped me into receiving said notification and account notice, what happened after I received said notification because I did take action steps, and how I'm planning on protecting myself in the future, and how you can potentially protect yourself as well in the event that you're in the position that I'm in. But before we do that, let's start with a disclaimer. The content of this video does not contain and is never intended to be legal, business, financial, tax, or health advice of any kind. This video is for entertainment purposes only. It is advised that you conduct your own research and consult with qualified professionals before applying anything you find online. I also want to be clear that what I'm going to go over is based on my personal experience and can very well be market dependent. So what applies to me may not necessarily apply to you. So with that said, let's get started. Alright, so let's start with the story on the delivery in question. I was on a delivery for Sushi Runner here in South Florida, and things were going exactly as it should. I go in, I say I'm picking up for Derek. They hand me the order right away because it's ready. So far so good, right? I go to my car, I note that I got the order, I head to the customer's location, which happens to be about 4 miles away. Still with me, right? I go over a drawbridge, I'm approaching the location in which the customer would be according to the GPS. I'm just down US 1 and I get the call from the customer, and shock, they claim the address in the app is wrong and they actually live right down the road from the sushi place, not even a mile down. Which is odd because not only is that the address in the GPS, but it's also the address in the instructions. Kind of like how you have to be really sure that they're going to the right place, so they put the address in multiple areas. But now they're telling me they're right down the road? Are you kidding me? And at this point, I'm not sure if I was being screwed with. Did they want to get some free credits by the order being late, or if he was literally just that stupid? Honestly, I believe any one of those things. I love what he said in response to, yeah, I don't know what happened. Like you don't know what happened. You're playing some stupid game. I decided to contact support to see if they would actually pay me more in order to increase the value if they can change the address, you know. Let them know that I'm doing the right thing by the customer so that way I can get an extra boost in pay. Because I just went 4 miles out of my way. Now I gotta go 4 miles back to go right down the road from the sushi place because they had to be dumber than rocks. And what they said next shocked me. Actually, you don't have to do that. If you return the items to the store, we will give you full pay. And they also said they would give me a little extra for actually doing the return, but they didn't do that. But we'll go into that later. But it's annoying. If I wanted full pay, I could have just went to the address and delivered it. I didn't want to argue with Uber support, and part of me also wanted to stick it to the customer for choosing to screw me like that, because you know that was intentional. They chose to do that. Anyway, I returned the order to Sushi Runner. I got full pay, rested easy, knowing the customer was right down the road in the direction I lived, but they had to screw me, so I got my petty ass a sweet dose of payback. Now, to clarify some things with the support agent, it turns out they lied, and they claimed that my account would be completely unaffected. They claimed that I would get full pay plus a little extra, and there would be no issues with my ratings nor my account status. And yet the next day, this is what I received. Failing to complete trips at your customer's location. Hi, Joseph. You have recently failed to complete the trip after picking up an order, either by arriving at the customer's location and failing to complete the drop-off, or failing to arrive at the drop-off location at all. Which, not only did I get to the location, you told me not to leave it there, but I'm being told that I failed to complete an order. Are you serious? Accepting a delivery request without intending to complete the delivery is considered fraud, which violates the Schroeder Platform Access Agreement and our community guidelines and leads to negative customer experiences. Let's be 100% clear. I had full intention on completing the order. The customer screwed with me, and then you told me to bring it back, and I'm considered committing fraud? Are you out of your goddamn mind? And forget the access agreement and community guidelines. We all know that's a load of bullcrap. But leading to negative customer experiences, you're telling me that the negative customer experience of a customer gaming the system, stealing money from you, is more important than me actually following through on the expectations that you set for me during that delivery? Are you out of your goddamn mind? I don't even want to read the tips that they give you on how to successfully complete trips, because obviously they're gonna try scamming you every time you try even following anything they have to say. It's one thing if you actually commit a fraud and you get that notification because you deserve it, but I followed your instructions. I listened to you. And you're sending me this stuff? That being said, I decided to contact support again because they're the ones that set me up to fail. And honestly, I was pissed. And I'm still pretty pissed about it. How dare you have the audacity to tell me to return it and then send me this notification? Are you out of your freaking mind? What kind of abusive, toxic, gaslighting nonsense is that? And no, I don't know for sure if this was the one or if there was another order accounting for it, but it was the only one that fit the description of what just happened. And honestly, I was getting real tired of that. So first thing I did, I contacted support after seeing that. And of course, they give me the scripted line because they're that crappy of people that they sent the notice to everybody. This is a mass notice. And honestly, they tell you that so that way you can hop off the phone and you can get shut up. That's exactly why they do. Now, what happens if you call them out on it? Well, I did call them out on it, and they put me on hold for a few minutes, claimed that they looked at it, and said my account looks fine, don't worry about it, which is, again, nonsense, but it displayed to me that Uber support and Uber as a corporation has no intention of helping me or removing the notification that they put on me for them committing fraud. This is their fraud, not me, their fraud, because they're blowing smoke up my ass at this point. Like, seriously, you're gonna blame me for following your instructions? And another thing that they do, and this is something I noticed that UberEats does in general, is that they slow down your account whenever you get an account notice. They don't send you as many orders. You feel like you're on a very lagged system. Like, you get an order, you say no to it because it's a no-tip order, then it takes you even longer to get the next order. You know what I'm talking about? Could this be me being paranoid? Yeah, it was Tuesday that the notice came through. Of course, it could have just been a slow day. Wednesday, the same gist. But then on Thursday, I ended up getting a lot of orders. So maybe I'm just being paranoid. Maybe it's just a different time of the year from when I first got the notices. I don't know. But I feel like that's exactly what happened. And I feel like a lot of people have stated the same thing online, so I'm pretty sure that this is something that Uber does. And of course, the next thing I did after that was research the hell out of it, because quite honestly, I really want to know either how to fight back or if I need to be concerned for my account's safety. And of course, there's no help page on Uber because they're as helpful as snowshoes in summer. So where do I have to find valuable information that can actually help me? Reddit. it and hear what other people have to say about it. So apparently somebody else also got this same notice, and apparently it's just a warning. Like, how dare you listen to us kind of warning, which is so stupid. Now, some people are saying that they got different experiences from support. They were told it's two different departments, when in reality, no, it's not. They said they could escalate the issue, but it doesn't mean that they're actually going to do it. And somebody actually went through the exact same scenario as I did, except with a Walmart order. They literally were told by the app to return the order as opposed to leaving it at the door, and they got a message saying it was fraud, which is not what happened. Like, they're saying they literally waited for the timer to run out, and then it prompted them to return the order to the store. Like, it's their fault because the customer wasn't there to receive the order. How is that our fault? How are we responsible because the customer pulls that crap? But of course, now at this point, I have to find ways to protect myself in the future. So these are some things that I am doing that you could potentially do for yourself. Diversifying my gig portfolio. I am a firm believer that you have to have as many sources of income and diversify your gig portfolio as much as possible so you're not too dependent on one source of income. Being too dependent on Uber has clearly displayed that they're gonna pull manipulative games. Even though none of it is your fault, you're gonna get blamed for it. And yes, I have multiple food delivery and grocery delivery apps already. And last time I had this situation, I hopped on Veho, where I started package route delivery, and not only was it a smart financial move, it was a nice change of pace. Rather than working with restaurants, because I felt a strong sense of discrimination from those restaurants, which I still do, but it doesn't bother me as much because I know I could do other things to earn money now. And the time before that, I hopped on user testing, and that surprised me on how lucrative it actually was. In fact, I made a video talking all about user testing and how that operates. I'll leave that in the description. Feel free to check it out. But I am looking into other apps as we speak, and there are other apps that I've been meeting to tell you guys about. But in the meantime, I'm hopping on wait lists and doing some research on what is actually good opportunities for me. Also, don't feel limited to just gig platforms. Try getting into starting your own gig if you want. Develop your own clientele with services you want to provide. Maybe it's not courier work that you want to do. Maybe it's freelancing, copywriting. Maybe you want to do some handyman work, whatever. But the point is that you don't leave your financial safety in the hands of corporations that are going to pull some of the shadiest manipulative nonsense against you to try to attack and ruin your life. I don't have another description on how terrible that situation was. Save money and build up your emergency fund. I am a firm believer that you should have a 3 to 6 month emergency fund available to you, especially since we operate on a variable income. Because we operate on a variable income, I would lean towards the 6 month range. Call me paranoid, call me what you want, but if I get deactivated wrongfully, or if somebody wrongfully deactivates me on other platforms, and I decide to fight it, or I decide not to fight it, it is irresponsible to not protect myself financially. And that's my opinion. I think that's a very important point to have. Pressing harder into my exit strategy. I have said this 1,000 times. The gig economy is an income bridge to what would be a long-term goal. It's never the goal. And it's not just because of the industry itself. It's a lot of people who work in the food service industry and work for tips, and they're very happy and make more than a lot of people who work in 9-to-5 jobs. It's the fact that these companies are pulling so many shady things to potentially get you deactivated. It's the fact that you should have an income that is independent from your activity. And there is a lot of other reasons to have an exit strategy. And honestly, maybe I'm not pressing hard enough into YouTube to where it could eventually take over my current source of income. Now, again, for me, that's YouTube. It doesn't have to be what you do. Maybe you just want to invest into index funds and ETFs till eventually you leave your 9-to-5. Maybe you want to build an online store, maybe a print-on-demand business, a blog, a podcast, renting out real estate. The list can go on for days. But the point is that you work on an exit strategy that can eventually scale and make more money than what these apps or any 9-to-5 or any job can provide you, period. Because Because let's face it, these companies will not protect you at the end of the day. Updating my personal policies. If this experience has taught me anything based on the signals I received from Uber, if the customer is not successful at scamming you, they're just gonna find a way to scam you themselves. Not only that, but there is no additional gain for returning an order to a restaurant, when it is clear that you will earn just as much for leaving it at the location that the customer set on accident, or whether it's a bunch of other reasons that the customer is trying not to receive the order. And from now on, I have no choice but to deliver the order to the location established in the app and not allowing for any customer leniency. Now, some of you already have that policy, and I should have, but there was some weak part of me that believed doing the right thing by the customers and right by all parties involved and trying to help out where I can. But at this point, I have no choice but to become a cold-hearted, tyrannical monster that I should have been in the first place, because clearly that's the only way to stay safe from the monsters who operate on this platform. Because no good deed goes unpunished, right? Updating my no-go list. To be clear, I'm not putting Sushi Runner on the no-go list. They did nothing wrong. I am putting that customer on the no-go list. I have his address, I have his name, I know where he tends to order from now, I know where he sends me in order to try to gain credits. If the customer's not gonna grow up and be mature enough to just put in their address properly, why should he receive his food? Why? Like, seriously, that is the kind of disgusting, vile beast that he is. Now, some of you might be saying, what about Para? Para has a system for flagging both pros and cons for certain customers and merchants. And they have a lot of tools for drivers in that respect. However, I have a particular problem with saying anything about Para because of the position they are in. The services that they provide go against the TOS of the gig platforms you are working on. So you can potentially get deactivated. Have people gotten deactivated for it? No. Could they? Sure. On the other hand, if you want to have change, you need to make moves that show that you are protesting in a way that the company is not really okay with. Using a company like Para actually accomplishes that, especially since they are working to create a more transparent and more stable work environment for gig workers anywhere. Are you saying we should be using Para? I'm saying use them at your own discretion, and if you do, you never talk about it. And one last note that I would like to make is to answer the bigger question. Why is Uber doing this in the first place? Why would Uber set us up to fail like that? Do they just not want to take responsibility for the actions taking place on their platform? Possibly. Do they have desire to place blame on the driver until they develop a solution like they have for customers who use the refund method or tip bait? Possibly. Is there a mass deactivation on the horizon and we're just adding ourselves to that list? Possibly. Based on Uber's track record, I wouldn't be surprised if the latter was actually part of that list. So be careful and protect your account safety as best you can, because no one can protect you from the situations like these like you can do for yourself. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.